All right, let's jump right into the explainer today. I am seriously thrilled to have you here. We're going to be using the Microsoft PL-300 Power BI Data Analyst exam as our real-world playground. Now, whether you're actively grinding for this certification right now, or you're just a data pro looking to, sharpen up those architectural skills, you're in exactly the right place. We are going to break down some incredibly practical concepts today. So let's get into it. We aren't just going to sit here and talk about dry theory. We're actually cracking open some of the toughest, most realistic technical scenarios straight out of the official exam source material. Because my goal for you isn't just to memorize the right answer, A, B, C, or D. It's to truly understand the crucial why behind these data modeling decisions. Because honestly, that's what makes you a genuinely great data analyst. Now, 386, that is the staggering number of questions in this specific exam prep dump. It is literally a mountain of information. But hey, don't worry, we are absolutely not going to read through hundreds of questions today. Instead, we're distilling the core principles from all this material. The goal is super simple. If you comprehend the underlying concepts instead of just memorizing isolated facts, you can answer literally any variation of a question they throw at you. Okay, here's our game plan for today. First, demystifying storage modes. Second, connecting to Power Apps. Third, maximizing existing data sets. And finally, we'll wrap up with merge versus append in Power Query. Let's do this. Starting right off with Section 1, demystifying storage modes. I want you to picture this as a real client problem. You've just been brought in as the lead data analyst, and the client has some highly complex, kind of messy data refresh needs. Getting this wrong? It means either a painfully slow report, or you're going to put a massive, unnecessary strain on the database. So here are their constraints. We've got 4 tables. The customer table needs a daily refresh. The date table, that only needs a refresh once every 3 years. Now the sales table is critical. That one must be near real time. And finally, the sales aggregate table just needs a weekly update. Our absolute mandate here is to ensure the data loads exactly based on these rules while minimizing the load times of our report visuals as much as possible. Think about how this architecture actually comes together. On one side, we have that near real-time sales table. On the completely opposite side, the weekly sales aggregate table. And sitting right smack in the middle, acting as the connective tissue, are our dimension tables, date and customer. Both the sales and the sales aggregate tables have to connect back to these central dimension tables. It's like a giant puzzle, so keep that structure in the back of your mind. To actually solve this client's problem, we've got to understand our foundational tools. Let's weigh direct query against import. Think of direct query like live streaming data. The tables aren't cached, the queries are just pulling data directly from the source on demand. This is absolutely necessary for our near real-time sales table. On the flip side, import is basically like downloading a movie directly to your laptop. The data is cached locally right in Power BI, giving you maximum performance. So since our sales aggregate table only updates once a week, importing it is a total no-brainer for blazing fast visual load times. But wait, what about those dimension tables stuck in the middle? Well, this is where the magic happens. Enter dual mode. The source material defines dual mode exactly like this. Tables with this setting can act as either cached or not cached, depending on the context of the query submitted. It is the perfect hybrid approach. Why? Because our customer and date tables need to seamlessly connect to both our live streaming direct query sales table and our locally cached import sales aggregate table. So the crucial takeaway is how this all snaps together in our final solution matrix. Customer and date, set them to dual so they can serve both sides of the model without breaking a sweat. Sales set to direct query to hit that near real-time requirement. And sales aggregate gets set to import to guarantee top-tier performance for those weekly numbers. By applying this specific logic, you aren't just answering a test question. You're literally designing a highly optimized enterprise-grade data model. All right, let's shift gears. Section 2, connecting to Power Apps. This scenario moves us away from storage and straight into the wider Power Platform ecosystem. Imagine you've got a project management app and it's fully hosted inside Microsoft Teams, built entirely using Power Apps. Put your consultant hat back on for a second. Quiz show style. You're tasked with creating a Power BI report that pulls data directly from this Teams app. Which connector are you actually going to select in Power BI Desktop to make this happen? Well, if you said Microsoft Dataverse, you hit the nail right on the head. And what's really cool here is understanding how this wider ecosystem actually works. When you use templates or build apps for project data or Power Apps inside Teams, that data isn't just floating around in the void. It's stored in a Microsoft Dataverse instance. So when you open up Power BI, you completely bypass looking for some specific Teams connector, and you just connect straight to the Dataverse, which is the actual underlying database engine powering the whole shebang. Moving right along to Section 3, maximizing existing datasets. Okay, imagine you walk into the sales department. They already have this beautiful published Power BI report pulling from an Excel file in SharePoint, and it is fully loaded with custom DAX measures. Here's our objective. You need to create a brand new report based on this exact same data, but your boss tells you to minimize development effort. We want to work smarter, not harder, right? We need to build this new report the efficient way without redoing any of the previous work. So, looking at the options presented by the exam logic, what's your play? Should you grab the raw files by connecting to the SharePoint folder? Should you connect directly to the Excel workbook itself? Maybe set up some Power BI data flows? Or should you connect to the Power BI dataset? Take just a second and think about what the absolute most efficient path would be. The correct answer, and honestly just the industry best practice, is to connect directly to the Power BI dataset. And here is exactly why this matters so much. If you connected to that raw Excel file in SharePoint, you'd have to rewrite every single one of those custom sales measures totally from scratch. No thanks. By connecting to the already published Power BI dataset, you inherit the entire existing data model. All the relationships, all those complex measures, they're just ready for you to drag and drop on your new canvas immediately. It's an absolute game changer for saving time. Finally, Section 4, Merge versus Append Basics. We're going to do a rapid-fire data transformation rule right within Power Query. If you spend literally any time shaping data, you are going to face this constantly. Let's say we're importing two completely separate tables into Power Query. We've got a customer table with an ID, name, phone, email, and crucially, an address ID. Then we have a totally separate address table that also contains an address ID column. We need to combine these two tables together so we can actually see the customer's name right next to their physical street address. The exam is always going to ask if you should merge or append here. I want to deliver this ultimate rule of thumb straight from the source material, so you can burn it into your memory forever. Ready? Merge is join. Append is union. Because we want to combine columns side by side based on a matching identifier, that shared address ID, we are doing a database join. Therefore, we merge the queries. If we were stacking tables on top of each other, row by row, like, adding January sales directly under February sales, that is a union, which means we would append. Merge makes them wider, append makes them longer. And wow, that brings us to the end of our dive into the PL-300 source material. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this somewhat provocative question to chew on. Are you just memorizing exam answers to pass a test? Or are you truly mastering the logic behind your data models? Because when you finally understand why dual mode prevents massive performance bottlenecks, or why connecting to a published data set saves you hours of redundant DAX coding, you aren't just someone who passed an exam. You are a highly valuable architect. Keep applying these concepts to your daily work, and definitely keep exploring. Thanks so much for learning with me today on The Explainer.